Hi, it's Leahz. Just a quick thank you to those of you who have been supporting the Leahz ministry and helping to make it possible for me to continue bringing you the truth here on YouTube. Of course, it's getting harder and harder every day. Donations are still down. I have been mentioning in the videos about the need for gifts to this ministry. However, they're still way down, hardly getting anything. If you pray about it and you feel moved or led to give a gift, you can do so via PayPal or check or money order via my P.O. box. And all that information is posted in the video description beneath this video. So thanks again to those of you who have been helping. I genuinely appreciate it. I wouldn't be able to do this without you and your love and your prayers and your support. God bless you, and I hope all of you are having a joyous, beautiful, and blessed day in Jesus Christ.
Imagine, I'm a U.S. citizen, a pastor, a clergy, an ordained minister of the gospel, in handcuffs in America, in Minnesota, for something, for nothing. I still don't know what I did. I kind of know why spiritually, but I still don't know why. This could happen in a Muslim country or in a terrible country a communist country, but in America, in the land of the free, home of the brave.
Ramin Parsa grew up in a devout Shiite Muslim family in Iran. His parents instilled in him and his 9 siblings the teaching of Islam and Sharia law.
Well, the teaching of Islam, they were very important for me because they told us by keeping those laws, you will get points, you earn points to go to heaven. So we had to keep those laws, like fasting during Ramadan, praying 5 times a day, and giving 1/5 of your income or whatever you have. And I remember as a child, we go in the streets and then we beat ourselves and with chains and trying to please Allah.
He hoped his faithfulness could earn him a place in heaven, but he wasn't sure of it.
Every time we prayed for something, in fact, when we prayed for something to happen, the opposite happened. The worst thing happened. And my question was why? Because I was diligent in my quest and in my obedience. But then it seemed like Allah is not answering and hearing our prayers. God, to me, he seemed like a distant tyrant. I couldn't say that as a Muslim, but it seemed like he was ready to punish us all the time. But he was distant in helping us.
At 16, Ramin was riding with friends to a wedding when Sharia police pulled them over.
In Iran, according to Sharia law, alcohol is illegal. And so we were going to this wedding. The people who gave me a ride, they had some alcohol. They took us to this confinement and they took all our clothes off, bare naked. And then they poured cold water on us and then they began to beat us with a slash without even asking, without even proving that I had drunk. I hadn't. And so that was the first time that I started questioning because I was being beaten in the name of Allah. In the name of
outside of Durango, Mexico, which is northeast of the tourist destination of Mazatlan, Mexico. Again, it's confirmed no fatalities. Aeromexico flight 2431 was going from Durango to Mexico City, and that's about an hour-and-a-half flight. Aeromexico says they're looking into the incident, but witnesses say the plane just fell from the sky. Reports on the scene show a plane on its belly badly damaged. There was obviously, because thick black smoke could be seen for miles. We did learn it was an Embraer E190, which can hold about 100 passengers. Local authorities are telling us there were 101 people on board. At this point, we don't know how many people were hurt, but we are learning that family members are desperate for information. They're at the airport trying to find the status of their loved ones. Now, meteorologists tell us that at the time of the crash, there was some sort of weather system moving through that area.
And in this miracle in Mexico, miraculously, all 103 passengers on board survived this crash and were able to escape the flames of the aircraft.
Tonight, we're going to talk about what happened to us in Minnesota and Minneapolis. I was there for a speaking engagement. I was invited by a church, actually like a half a year ago, like almost a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I was invited by this pastor to go and preach there. And so we arranged the time and the date, and they advertised for it. So, and it happened that I went there last week. I left on Friday evening, and I arrived at like 2 a.m. almost, 1:30 a.m. And by the time I went home was 2. So that's when we arrived. And then we had a speaking engagement on Saturday at 2. So after 2 o'clock on Saturday, we went to this mall. The pastor and one of the pastors and his son, they said, we're going to take you to a mall. It's a very good mall, and it's a big mall, and it's a nice mall. We're going to show the mall to you. You know, out of courtesy, they want to show me the town, and it was nice of them. So they took me to this mall, and then so randomly we ran to some Muslims. We began to talk to them. They began to talk to us, and so we had a normal conversation. Where are you from? What are you guys doing here? And so I said, I'm originally from Iran, and they were from Somalia. So they said, oh, are you Muslim? I said, I used to be, but I'm a Christian now. And they asked me, oh, why did you change? What happened? So I was giving my testimony, why I became a believer, why I accepted Christ in my life. So they asked me, why did you become a Christian? And I was explaining to them what happened. And as I was explaining to them, what happened was a lady was hearing our conversation. So she went and told the security that this guy is harassing us. Whatever she told the security that this guy is harassing us. And so security came and he started saying, you cannot do this here. This is, you cannot solicit here. I said, we're not soliciting. We just had a conversation. So it was a private conversation in a public place, or a public place in a private mall, they call it. So we had a, just imagine you go to a Starbucks or to a coffee shop or to a restaurant, and you happen to talk to some people, right? Or in the airport. And so we were talking this private conversation. It wasn't that we were like screaming and we went there for, we didn't go there for evangelism or to scream or to tell people you have to repent. And we didn't do that. I don't do those things. So I went there, and so it was a casual conversation. So when the security guard came and he said, you cannot do this, you're soliciting. I said, we're not soliciting, we're talking. So it was a casual conversation. So when the security guard came and he said, you cannot do this, you're soliciting. I said, we're not soliciting, we're talking. Anyhow, we just walked away. We said, okay, we don't want to argue. And we went to a Starbucks. There's a Starbucks in the mall, and we got some coffee. And when we came out, the guard the first guard who spoke to us and two other guards were waiting for us. And they told me that you must leave now. And I said, why should we leave? He said, because you are soliciting. And it was like 10 minutes in the mall. It was, we were there like almost 10 minutes. And I said, why should we leave? He said, because you are soliciting here. And I said, we're not soliciting. We don't have any tracts. We don't have any books. What do you mean? We're not selling anything. And I told him I'm out of the state. I just came here for 3 days. I went Friday evening and arrived Saturday morning almost. So he said, no, you have to leave right now. And I said, sir, we're not soliciting here. Then he said, so you're under arrest. And they took my coffee from me. They handcuffed me from behind. And they took me into this room. And they tied my hands. They handcuffed my hands on this metal chair. Both my hands, very tight. They handcuffed me to this chair. And I was sitting there, and they just tied me to this chair. They began to file their report or write their report. And then I told them I need water. And they said they wanted to take my picture to file their report, to complete their report. And I said, I need some water. They said, well, we want to take your picture first. I said, no, I don't want you to take my picture. You don't have the right to take my picture. You arrested me wrongfully. This is illegal. You should not do this. And so what happened was I asked him for some water. They gave me some water. They said, okay, we'll make a deal with you. If you allow us to take your picture, then we'll give you some water. Now imagine, I'm a U.S. citizen, a pastor, a clergy, an ordained minister of the gospel, in handcuffs in America, in Minnesota, for something, for nothing. I still don't know what I did. I kind of know why spiritually, but I still don't know why. This could happen in a Muslim country or in a terrible country a communist country, but in America, in the land of the free, home of the brave. So what happened was they handcuffed me and they tied me to this, very tight, to this, to my both hands, to this metal chair. So I didn't allow them to take pictures. So eventually they gave me some water, but in the beginning they didn't give me water. And then I asked him to go to restroom. They didn't allow me to go to restroom. Police came. The police even didn't ask me, what did you do? What happened? He just read the report, and then he came to open this handcuff, and he didn't know how to open the handcuff. I think the keys didn't work. He was like jerking this handcuff around, and it was hurting. And I said, what are you doing? And I said, you're hurting my hand. And he said, well, I don't think it hurts that much. So we sat in the car, and they took me to this police station. And so I was sitting in this car, in the police car. And this is, I don't have any misdemeanor, any criminal background. I don't have even a ticket, to be exact. So they took me to this police office, and they didn't even ask me what happened, why are you here? I told them, sir, this is a mistake. You guys arrested me wrongfully. Said you were soliciting. I said, no, I'm not soliciting. I'm a pastor. I'm out of town. I'm from California. I came here to visit. I came here to speak at a church. And they said, oh, yeah, we don't believe you. And then they did my mug shot. They did my fingerprinting. So this police was, pressing my fingers on this thing, trying to do my my fingerprinting. And so they did the fingerprinting, and they did they asked me some questions, and then like health-wise, have you been in the hospital? Have you been? I said, yeah, I was in a plane crash 2 weeks ago. But this is in America, a Muslim complaining against us, and they're arresting us for. Even if we were talking about our faith like publicly, even if we were evangelizing, let's say, I don't think that should be illegal either. So especially when they ask us to tell them the way they treated us, the way in America, I was arrested in Turkey when I was a missionary there a couple of times, and they threatened us. They came to our church. They arrested us. They cussed us out, and they told us that you work for CIA. They're paying you to give Bibles away because we were passing Bibles. And in Iran, I got stabbed. So in those countries, you understand, they're oppressive countries. But in America, in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, some people call them Islamic State of Minnesota. So this should not be like that. And imagine Minnesota, the Democrat Party just nominated a Muslim woman from Somalia to become their representative in Congress. So imagine if these people get into power, how they're going to abuse their power. Yes. They don't respect Constitution and the Bill of Rights and American values. They come here to oppress. So my point is that we were arrested wrongfully. I know I love all kinds of people. If you have been with me, I talk to all kinds of people. I just, even in the airplane, when I sit in the airplane, I talk to people next to me. I like to have a conversation with people to get to know them, and this happened. So this is in Minnesota, and I couldn't believe that. To be arrested in America for being a Christian, being a pastor, and being arrested. And so there are people who can testify of me and the school I went to, the people that I know me, the church members, but they arrested me and they mistreated me, they abused me. I asked them for water. They said, if you allow us to take your picture, we'll give you water. I mean, this is like in a communist country or a Muslim country, they tell you, if you do what we tell you, then we give you that.